The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Rishab. I'm a marketing coordinator here at Struxsoft Solutions, now part of Greater Group. And joining us is our application specialist, Thais, who will be taking us through extra shop drawing options available in MWF. MWF, which stands for Metal Wood Framer, is our flagship software that helps you automate and enhance the modeling and manufacturing of your timber and light gauge steel framing right inside the Autodesk Revit environment. And very briefly, I would also like to talk to you about the newest tool that we released in January this year called FrameLab. This tool was developed to help your teams identify issues around openings and contains features to help your teams improve their collaboration and coordination. So I do invite you to learn more about this product on our website, www.struxsoftsolutions.com. Now moving on to the webinar itself, please feel free to ask any of your questions that you may have during this presentation by typing them into the questions tab of the webinar dashboard, and we shall answer them once the presentation is completed. If you would prefer to ask your question verbally instead of typing it out, feel free to do so once again after the presentation has been completed. In the GoToWebinar dashboard, you can raise your hand to notify one of us so that we can unmute you. And that's it for the introduction. I hope you enjoy the webinar, and Thais, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Rishab. Hi, everyone. Today we're going to talk about some options, some extra options that we have under the drawing operations menu. So we're going to cover refresh drawings, override hidden, smart tags manager. I will explain what that does, the import drawings, V1 settings, and generate gather sheet. Okay, so let's just go ahead and start with the refresh drawings. I'm just going to generate some shop drawings here. I already have my settings, so I'm just gonna select 2 panels and just run shop drawings for those 2 panels. I don't want to select a bunch of them just so we don't have to wait for the generation too long. And so regarding the refresh command, it's something that you can use when you have minor changes to your panels. So if you do have bigger changes, for example, anything that requires regeneration, in that case, you would have to run the drawings again. So recreate the drawings, run shop drawings engine again. The reason why is because when you, for example, if you make a major change, let's say if you go in properties and you make changes, it will automatically, once you get out of properties, it's going to automatically regenerate your panel. When it does that, it loses the updated data that you have in your shop drawings. So you have to rerun again. Just refreshing the drawing will not work in that case. So let me just open up here one of these panels. So here's my shop drawing. And again, if you have minor changes and that change does not require you to regenerate the panel, in that case, this is when you could use the refresh drawings option. So one example would be, for example, let's say if I go in this view and I just want to quickly add an extra vertical stud. So in that case, if I do a Control-C here, Control-V, if I just copy paste an extra studs and I add that with my extra add structural members command. So let me just hit escape. I'm going to tag that as a vertical stud. Okay, so in that case here, I don't really need to regenerate the panel to see the change. I added manually and I ran the add structural members command. I do need to still run the refresh drawing because even though I can see it in my view here, and I see it also in my plan view, for example, as you can see, the dimension is not updated just yet. So it's skipping the new member. So in that case, this is one situation where you could use the refresh drawings. So once you do that, you're going to see that it will update even in the schedule as well. You're going to see the new member. It's going to be still showing up in the elevation view. It will dimension the new member as well. The other situation where you could also use that option is, let's say, for example, if you regenerate a panel next to this one, sometimes this will cause some issues with the 3D view. So in case you are seeing extra elements in your 3D view as well, if you refresh the drawing, it should also revert back to the regular view. But again, this will only work if you didn't regenerate that panel specifically. So if I did make changes to this panel, is my panel 356. So if I did make changes to that one, if I regenerated the panel in any way, then I have to just rerun shop drawings again. Okay, so next option is the override hidden. So that one is in case you want to unhide an element that is hidden automatically. I think I have a pipe in my panel. Let me just check here in my 3D view. So yeah, this panel here, I do have a pipe. So any elements that are not MWF will be automatically hidden once you run shop drawings. So you should, by default, only see MWF structural elements, so your studs, your tracks, and so on. But if you have any windows, if you have any pipes or electrical fixtures, anything else will be automatically hidden. One option is, if you do want to see it, you could change it in the settings of your elevation view. We have that option to show the visible categories. You can just check off the categories that you do want to see. But if it's something specific or it's just one element, what you could do is use the override hidden. So in that case, I am in my panel 351. As you can see, the pipe is hidden by default. So what I'm going to do is go in the view again. I do want to first unhide the pipe just with my Revit command. So there it is. There's my pipe. I'm going to unhide this element. I'm going to close this. So it is here, right? But if I go ahead and refresh the view, it's just going to be gone again. So what I can do is click to override hidden. Oops, sorry. Okay. And once I do that, if I refresh the drawing, it will remain there. So let's just go ahead and refresh. So that would be another situation where you could use a refresh drawing just to save that information that you just unhide one of the elements. And then as you can see, we'll also update and it will show up in other views that you may see that element as well. So in that case, we are seeing it in the 3D view. We are also seeing it in the plan view. Okay, perfect. So next one is Smart Tags Manager. So again, these are all extra options. You do have the main option. If you want to use Smart Tags, it would be again in your elevation view settings, and you could just check them off over there. So once you generate the drawing, you would see the labels already using the Smart Tags already automatically generated in your shop drawings. But you also have this option here outside your view settings, the Smart Tags Manager. So let me just go in the view. And if I go here to my Smart Tags Manager, I'm able to see, first of all, I'm going to see a list of my Smart Tags that I have in this file. If you don't see the one that you need, usually if you want to tag your MWF elements, you're gonna have to have the structural framing tag and also the structural column tag loaded in your file. So after you went ahead and loaded your tags, you would see it here. We would check off these two options. These are the ones for your top and bottom tracks, and this guy will be for your vertical studs. Okay, so you could choose if you have more than one type. I only have this one. I think for the framing, I may have another one. So you could choose which type of smart tag you want to use. And you can also say if you want to tag all objects in the current view, so in that case, in our elevation view, or if you just want to tag selected objects. So in that case, you would have to select first the members that you want to tag and then go in the Smart Tags Manager. So let's say we are going to just tag all of them. I'm gonna hit OK. And then we're gonna see the tags right away in your elevation view. So again, this is just a secondary option in case you didn't label once you generate shop drawings. You can always do that afterwards if you want. My smart tag already has the information that I want. So this guy is looking at my BMSF schedule label parameter. But again, it's a Revit smart tag. You could just go in the family and change the information that you see. So you could refer to any other parameters if you want, or maybe two of them, maybe the schedule label plus the type, the family type. So it's going to be up to you. But yeah, so that's pretty much what it will do. Usually if you refresh, it will go away. So in that case, you can just always go in again and just go back to smart tags and just run the command again. And then we have the import drawings V1 settings. So this guy here, I'm just going to explain because I don't actually have it anymore. But this was for when we had two top drawings options. We had one for multi-layer panels and a separate one for standard panels. So when we did the migration, some clients, they had the settings set up in the first option, the V1 option, which is for the standard panels. And because we merged them two together, we had that option here added as well. So you would be able to import your existing settings from the first version into the new version. Okay, so if that's not the case for you, you can just disregard. You don't have to do anything with that. But if you by any chance have old settings from the first shop drawings option, you could use them. You can just import it using this option here. Some of these settings may not be exactly the same once you import, because again, we merged them together. So usually we would have all of the options, but in some of them you may have like similar option, but not exactly the same. So it's always, again, advised for you to go in the settings and check, double check what you have. But overall, it should work fine, and you would be able to use your old settings. And then we have the last one, which is generate gather sheets. So I'm just going to close these guys. Let's go back here to my 3D view. So the gather sheet, it's an option in case you want to generate in the same sheet layout several drawings for several panels. As we know, by default, if you're using the regular shop drawings option, it's just going to generate one panel per sheet. And in that case, the only way that you can combine more than one panel in the same sheet layout is just by manually dragging the views. So we do have this option here. It's not as complete as the main option. You don't have as many view options, for example. You do have some presets here. So I'm just going to go ahead and click here in the settings. You will be able to generate the elevation view and the plan view. So that's it. It's not possible to create with that option any schedules or cut lists or 3D view, section view. It's only the elevation and plan view. You're gonna have some extra information though. You will see, actually, let me go here. I've already generated because it takes a little bit of time. It goes per level. So you could generate for your entire project in one shot, or you can go by levels. But still, because I do have a lot of panels here, it's going to take a little bit of time. So I went ahead and generated that beforehand. So let me just double click here in one of the sheets. And that's how it should look like once you run the command. So let me just zoom in here in one of the panels. So as you can see, this information here is a plus. It's going to show the panel name and also how many studs you have. So let me go back there in the settings. So the other settings will be pretty much the same as the regular shop drawings. You're going to set up your scale. You have the option here for your title. You can choose also a different title block if you want. As long as it's in your file, it will show up here in the list. The direction of the elevation view. So this is just, again, just like the main shop drawings option. And we also have the sheet margins. This one you do have to set up. Otherwise, it will clash a little bit with the title block. And then this is where you would set up what panels in your file you want to generate drawings. In that case, you could go by levels, as you can see, or you can just check off all of your levels and you would do that for the entire project. So the drafting view, it's pretty much just, you just have to select the text type that you're going to use. This is for this information here at the bottom. And then we have the settings for elevation view and then plan view. So elevation view, you would see you could assign a view template if you want. If not, you can set up the detail and visual style here as well. And then differently than the regular drawings where you can just go ahead and choose what dimensions you want, it will automatically generate these specific dimensions and labels. So the only occasion where it will not generate, it's in case you don't have it in your panel. So for example, if you have openings, it will always add the openings dimensions. But if you don't have any openings, it's just going to ignore that option and it will keep the rest. So in that case, the overall length and maybe the distance between the studs. So you don't have a way of saying that, oh, I don't want that. It will show up as long as you have that information in your panel. What you could choose is just the text type that you want to use, the size. And the same thing goes for your plan view. You are able to assign a template. You can set up the detail view and the visual style and the cut plane. But other than that, that's pretty much it. And you're going to get this information here every time in your elevation view. So once I click OK, this is where it's going to run the command and generate. So I'm not going to do that because otherwise it will take a little bit of time. Again, just make sure that you are hitting OK in your plan view or 3D view, not in the sheet like I am right now. But once you click OK, it will take a little bit of time depending on how many panels you have. But after it's done, this is what it's going to do. It's going to go ahead and generate as many sheet layouts as you need to fit all of your panels. So automatically, it will try to fit as much as it can in one sheet. You're going to see that in this case, it didn't add anything here at the bottom, only because it didn't have enough space. But you could also rearrange that manually if you want. If I go here to my second, so here it is. So that's why it's going to try its best to just rearrange everything. You also have this information here, what panels you have next to them. So I know that in my panel here that I see 353, next to it at my left, I have 352. And then at my right, it would be my 361. And then in this case, I generated this for my level 1. So those are all the panels that I have in my level 1 of my project. And when it's done, it's just going to stop generating sheets. Again, you could just manually insert a cut list here. In that case, you could rearrange this if you want manually. But out of the box, this is how it would look like. Okay, so that is it for today. Let's go back to Rishab and see if we have any questions.
All right, thank you, Thais. And as she says, we'll now open the floor for any of your questions. And once again, you can raise your hand in the webinar dashboard or type in the questions tab so that we can get to you. And we do have a question, so let me just have a look at that. So it's from Chris. I'm just going to unmute you there. Just 1 second.
Can everyone hear me? Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I just had a question on the Refresh Drawings tool. If you add any manual dimensions on your drawings, when you refresh the drawings, will those be deleted or will they still remain?
Let me see. So if you say, if you add, let's say if we add a dimension here, if you add a new dimension manually, right?
Yeah, because we usually add a couple of manual dimensions before it goes to shop. So I was wondering if you refresh, will it still stay around?
Yes, it does. It does.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah. So I wasn't sure about the dimensions, but I do know that. So yeah, it works for dimensions, and it will also work if you add any text to the view as well. If you refresh, it will stay. Yeah.
All right, that's awesome. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, and we have a question from David Schultz. Can the studs be color-coded in the drawings?
So you could use the project material scheme to add the colors. And then once you generate the drawings, depending on the view template that you're using, it could show up with the colors as well. Does that answer your question? Yeah.
I don't see any response, but we'll just wait for David to respond. But
okay.
I would like to say that in the meantime, the recording of this presentation. So there we go. Yes, I use the color code in all drawings.
Okay. So yeah, when you create the drawings, it should show up with the colors depending on the visual style that you're using, but it should show up.
And very briefly, I'd just like to once again mention that the recording of this presentation will be sent through tomorrow via email and posted on our social media channels, primarily LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook by the end of the day today. I don't see a response from David, so I assume that your question was answered. But in case there were any more questions, please do feel free to reach out to us. Our contact details will be provided, as I said, in the recording email tomorrow. And if you would like to set up a one-on-one demonstration with one of our product experts or set up a training, we will be happy to set that up for you. And we're just going to give it a few more minutes for any other questions to pop in. Okay, that looks like a wrap for today. We hope you enjoyed the webinar and found it informative. We will now be ending this presentation. Hope you have a great day ahead.